How do over 100,000 ships travel the oceans without crashing? This is the untold story of the COLREGs, the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea. A set of invisible rules followed by every ship, every day. The international regulations for preventing collisions at sea, known as COLREGs. Established in 1972, these rules are the invisible traffic lights of the ocean.
Picture this. It's midnight in the absolute middle of the Pacific Ocean. A thick fog is rolling in, and visibility is down to literally zero. Out there in the pitch black, thousands of massive steel leviathans, some over 400 meters long and carrying hundreds of thousands of tons of cargo, are constantly moving at high speeds. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're uncovering an invisible framework that operates quietly in the shadows, keeping our entire global supply chain from completely collapsing. Let's dive right into the core paradox here. Think about how things work on land. We've got painted lanes, stop signs, traffic lights, strict rules to keep heavy vehicles from smashing into each other. But out at sea, there's absolutely nothing, just a vast, fluid, open expanse. So how exactly do more than 100,000 merchant ships, naval destroyers, and fishing trawlers share the exact same watery real estate every single day without turning the oceans into just one giant chaotic collision zone? The answer to that question is literally the thread keeping modern civilization together. Because here's the wild part. 90% of all global trade, by volume, is carried by these vessels. The food on your table, the fuel powering your city, the very device you're using right now. They all completely depend on one single universal system of collision prevention. If this system fails, the global supply chain instantly and totally collapses.
Section 1. Forged by Chaos and War.
To truly grasp how we prevent disaster today, we've got to look back at the absolutely terrifying history of the sea. For thousands of years, there were literally no formal rules. Mariners just relied on local customs, visual awareness, and pure gut instinct. But then, the Industrial Revolution hit. Suddenly, you've got fast, insanely heavy steam-powered ships sharing the exact same waters with traditional wind-powered sailboats. As you can imagine, local customs began to violently clash. Navigating places like the Thames estuary in thick fog became a deadly gamble, ending in catastrophic collisions as iron literally smashed through wood in the dark. It's a history pretty much written in blood. The evolution of maritime law started out with some basic navigation acts back in the 1800s, but honestly, it was warfare that truly shaped the rules. During World War I, merchant ships were forced to sail in massive, tightly packed convoys during total blackouts, just to avoid submarines. And surprisingly, this proved that having strict universal rules could actually prevent disasters even when you couldn't see a thing. As technology advanced rapidly through World War II, the need for a totally global, modernized code became undeniable, and that ultimately gave us the 1972 COLREG Convention.
But there's a crazy, deadly irony to early maritime tech. World War II brought us radar, right? Which was supposed to be this miracle tool to save ships. Instead, it actually triggered a massive spike in crashes. It created a terrifying phenomenon known as the radar-assisted collision. Navigators would spot a little blip on their screen and, getting way too overconfident, they'd speed blindly right through the fog. They'd completely misinterpret the data, only realizing their fatal mistake when the steel bow of another massive ship emerged from the mist right in front of them. It proved that technology alone just wasn't enough. We needed strict behavioral laws to back it up.
Section 2. The Rules of the Sea. So let's break down how these 38 codified rules actually play out on the water. In almost any encounter between two ships, the rules assign two very clear fundamental roles. First, you have the giveaway vessel. This ship is legally obligated to take early, substantial action, like drastically altering its course or slowing way down to keep well clear of danger. Then you have the stand-on vessel. This ship has to maintain its current course and speed exactly as it is, so its movements remain completely predictable to the other guy. It's a highly precise, high-stakes maritime dance. But how do they actually decide who gives way? Well, the rules establish a very strict pecking order based entirely on maneuverability. At the very bottom, you have your power-driven vessel, basically any standard ship propelled by machinery. It has to give way to a sailing vessel. But it gets more complex, because even a sailing vessel must give way to a vessel engaged in fishing with its nets out. And sitting at the very top of this hierarchy, a vessel not under command, or NUC. This is a ship that, because of some emergency like a dead engine or a jammed rudder, is physically unable to maneuver at all. Every single other ship out there absolutely must steer clear of it. When two ships meet out in the open ocean, the geometry of how they interact is incredibly strict. In a straightforward head-on meeting, the rule is brilliantly simple. Both ships must alter their course to starboard, which is to the right, so they can pass each other port to port safely. But what about a crossing situation? That's where a step-by-step logic kicks in. If you're looking out from the bridge and you see another ship approaching on your starboard or right side, guess what? You are the give-way vessel. You're the one who must take immediate action to avoid crossing ahead of them.
And then there's the overtaking rule. If you are coming up fast from behind another ship, specifically approaching from more than 22.5 degrees behind their beam, you are entirely responsible for staying out of their way. And here's the catch. Even if that slower ship ahead of you starts changing its course, you, as the overtaking vessel, are still obligated to keep clear until you have completely and safely passed them.
Section 3. Lights, sounds, and signals. But wait, how do you actually apply all these maneuvering rules when you can't even see the other ship in the dead of night? Well, this is where the genius geometry of night navigation comes into play. Every single ship displays specific colored lights with incredibly precise arcs of visibility. Over on the port or left side is a red light visible for exactly 112.5 degrees. On the starboard or right side, there's a green light, also exactly 112.5 degrees, and shining straight backwards is a white stern light set at 135 degrees. Because of these incredibly precise angles, anyone watching from a distance can instantly figure out exactly which direction a ship is heading just by seeing which colors are shining through the dark. Now, during the day, obviously lights don't work as well, so ships hoist up these massive geometric shapes on their masts to communicate what's going on. 2 black balls hoisted up, that means not under command, literally, my engine is dead, stay away. 3 black balls, that means the ship is hard aground and stuck fast. And if the absolute worst happens, Annex 4 of the COLREGs lays out the universal language of survival. We're talking a continuous blast on the foghorn, bright red flares shooting into the sky, an SOS tapped out in Morse code, or a spoken Mayday screaming over the radio. These signals are designed to completely bypass any language barriers to call for immediate, desperate rescue.
Section 4. The officer's perspective.
Let's step out of the textbook for a second and put yourself right there, standing on a pitch-black bridge at 2 a.m. Suddenly, a lone, tiny light flickers on the horizon, or a new blip pops up on the radar screen. The duty officer has to instantly run a high-stakes decision matrix. First, detect the target. Second, assess the risk. If that tiny light is getting closer, but its angle against the window isn't changing, meaning it's on a constant bearing with a decreasing range, a collision is mathematically guaranteed if nobody does anything. Third, the officer applies that COLREGs hierarchy to figure out who gives way, and finally, if it's on them, they must take action that is huge, early, and unmistakably obvious to the other ship.
Thankfully, modern officers do have some pretty incredible tools at their disposal to handle this stress. The Automatic Identification System, or AIS, is an absolute game changer. It's basically a transponder that constantly broadcasts exactly who a ship is, exactly where they're going, and how fast they're moving. It totally cuts through the terrifying ambiguity of those older radar systems, letting officers actually call up approaching ships by name over the VHF radio to sort out their passing plans. For an officer standing a lonely watch in the dark, that kind of instant, clear-cut communication is quite literally a lifesaver. But even with all that advanced technology, the physical constraints these ships face are truly terrifying. Picture a modern container ship with its cargo stacked so unbelievably high that the officer has a massive blind spot stretching for half a mile straight in front of the bow. They're also heavily constrained by their draft, which means their hull goes so deep underwater, they might only have a single meter of clearance under the keel, locking them into a very narrow channel. They can't just hit the brakes. They can't just swerve out of the way. Every single decision has to be made miles and miles in advance.
Section 5. Protecting global trade.
So let's zoom out for a second. We all rely completely on an interconnected global economy that simply cannot pause, not even for a minute. These 38 rules of the COLRGs are the silent, invisible framework making our survival possible. It's a single, universally agreed-upon language, a language that allows a Panamanian cargo ship, a Norwegian trawler, and a Chinese naval destroyer to pass within feet of each other in a congested, fog-choked strait in the dead of night, all with total predictability and perfect safety.
And as we look to the future, we're facing a pretty fascinating new horizon. We are rapidly entering the era of the fully autonomous, AI-driven container ship. But the beautiful thing about the COLREGs is that they were built on the fundamental, unchanging physics of vessels moving in close proximity. The big question is, as artificial intelligence actually takes the helm, will this centuries-old logic seamlessly guide the ghost ships of tomorrow, or will the ancient rules of the sea need to be completely rewritten all over again? It's definitely something to think about the next time you see a distant ship slipping silently over the horizon.